Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to another episode of All Knicked Up. Hope you enjoyed a little bit of the more mellow music playing before the show today. Before I signed in and logged in and said hello to everybody. Um, so it's been a couple weeks. We took last week off. I was traveling for work and the other guys were busy, so we did not have a show last week. But two of us are back this week, so let me bring Joe in. Ty is off for the night. Joe is here. Hello, sir.
Hello, hello. How are you? Good to see you.
Yeah, I feel like it's been a while.
It has.
Um, so it's good to see you. Good to chat with you a bit. Um, we actually have a lot to talk about, I
Yeah.
think. Uh, so I think it's going to be a good show. The Knicks are, as you guys see scrolling across the screen, the Knicks do play 76ers tonight at 7 o'clock. It is a home game, and normally the Knicks start at 7:30, so that start time's a little weird. But they are starting at 7 tonight, so we figured we'd hit this a little bit earlier. So 6:30 we're coming at you. So thanks for joining us, everyone out there who's watching. And yeah, let's get into it. So the headline I chose for this was Big Apple American Pie, and if you know why I put the American in parentheses due to the movie, and you know what happens to that pie in the movie, so that's kind of where that came from. And look, I'm gonna start out a mini rant here. Just gonna start out really quickly. Joe, you're older than me, but I'm 48 years old. I've never seen the Knicks win a championship, so I really don't give a crap about them making the playoffs only and having a good showing. That's not what this is about for me. That's not what, not why I watch this team anymore. I've seen them make the playoffs. I've seen them make the finals twice. I need them to win. I need to win a championship. That's how I feel about what's going on right now. And in order to do that, they need to be able to beat the best teams in their own conference, and they cannot. This team cannot beat the Celtics. They cannot beat the Cavaliers, and not only can't they beat them, they're getting destroyed. These games aren't even competitive.
Margin of 20
So
points.
yeah. So I mean, why should any? And I'll point this to you. Why should any of us feel like this team is a contender at this moment in time?
They're not.
Yeah, I
I don't
mean,
want to. I don't want to interrupt your rant with a monologue, but they're not right now. They're definitely not
yeah,
contenders now.
and I guess the other layer to that is what seems to be the problem. Like we've discussed a lot of these things in the past
Right.
on this show already. We've discussed reasons why we think, they're struggling on defense. And we've discussed, how they really don't have any set type of offense. They don't run an offensive system. It's kind of just a wide open offensive style of basketball. And the frustrating point and the frustration stems from us and for me especially has always been the coach, and I have been adamant about this from the beginning. I have never been a fan of him getting this job. I never wanted him to get this job. I wanted the guy who is coaching the best team in the Eastern Conference right now. I wanted Kenny Atkinson when he was available. Understood why the Knicks didn't get him. I understood why they didn't go after him after what had just happened in New Jersey with him and how that all played out.
Yeah.
And then, Rose being hired and having the ties to Thibodeau and Thibodeau's reputation of at least being able to rebuild culture and get a team back playing some semblance of good, strong, organized basketball. I understood it, but I always kind of knew we'd get to this point. And we've talked about this already in the past on this show, and I hate to keep belaboring the point, but this man is just not built to coach the modern NBA. That's how I feel. So I don't know where else to go with it except to say that. But Joe, what do you think? What do you think? Do you think it's fixable within the season? Do you think it's fixable?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So there's a bunch of different layers to this. First of all, I completely understand your frustration. I get it. I share your frustration with the coach, and let's just talk about Tibbs for a sec. We'll put that front and center for the moment. You know, I've been catching up on the chat that me, you, Ty, and some of the OGs have and stuff like that. And John explained this really well. And I think John's position mirrors mine. I appreciate Tom Thibodeau and everything that he's done for this organization. And you cannot underestimate his contributions to the New York Knicks from where we are to where we are now. But like you said, he was never going to be the guy that was going to get us where we needed to go. And we've known this for some time. I'm appreciative of Tibbs, but he is not a championship caliber coach. And not because he doesn't work hard, not because he doesn't have the knowledge of the game, not because he doesn't know how to manage individual personalities. It's because he is inflexible. It is a character defect that he has that prevents him from being that type of coach. I don't know necessarily that it's from he's from a different time. I just don't think he is adaptable. I think he's very fixed in his opinions. He sees things a certain way, and he just can't seem to get out of that. He really can't. Now, is the season done for? Do we have no chance? I'm not buying into that, personally. I think if we get one key piece back and we improve our defense and we gel at the right time, we can beat anybody. I still believe that. Is it likely? Do I see us as a likely champion? No, I didn't see us as a likely champion going into the season. To be honest with you, we're in the beginning of a window, right? I didn't see us winning this year. A success for me would have been the conference finals. That would be a success for me. But with Tibbs, we're going to have to live with it a little bit longer, Eric, honestly, because they are not going to fire him in season. And frankly, I feel like the wheels would need to come off for them to make a move after just signing him to an extension. I think this team can get hot. I think the defense will improve, not only with Mitch coming back, but I think the perimeter defenders, and Ty has talked about this, I've talked about this, I feel they'll be more effective on the perimeter with something behind them. Because, and I know you've kind of countered this argument, but we have Towns back there right now, and I appreciate Karl Anthony Towns. I appreciate his contributions. I think we stole him in that trade. As much as I hated to see Julius Randle go, we stole him in that trade. But he is a defensive liability. And after a slight tweaking of the numbers that started to look better, they're starting to look worse again. Some of the recent numbers that I'm seeing defensively with him are not very encouraging at all. I think, honestly, if we were to insert Mitch, move him to the 4, where the Timberwolves got to the conference finals, frankly, not entirely, but when it's advantageous, I think the perimeter defenders will take a little bit more risks knowing he's back there. This may be wishful thinking, but I can see a scenario where we could get hot at the right time. Is it likely? No. I'm as frustrated as you are, Eric. It's not easy to see the elite teams and know we're getting blown out every time we play them. Not only lose, but we are not competitive against these teams. And I really think it's an issue of inflexibility. I don't think that we will run the table because of Tibbs. I think we'll just catch lightning in a bottle and it'll be about the players. That's my opinion.
I mean, that's kind of was the next place I was going to go. Was the perimeter defender, so I'll bring up that here. Yeah. Everyone called them wing stop, but to me, it's been more like wing slop so far. Not that, let's be honest, we've definitely seen flashes of both of them being able to lock down guys. We've seen it all season. Yeah. There's been times where you're kind of like, wow, that was a really awesome defensive possession. The problem has been the consistency with it. And I'm not arguing. I won't argue with you that Towns is a great defender by any stretch. I think he's average, but the things that, say, make a good rim protecting center, he just isn't that. He's not quick laterally with his feet.
No,
and he doesn't
he's
have
a willing defender, but not a good one.
Yeah, he doesn't have a long wingspan either, so he can't really make up for his deficiencies. He gets exposed, and I totally see that. I'm not blaming him, but or I'm not.
Boston beat him off of the screens in that game.
Yes, his that's the thing that people talk about. Like when he has to go into drop coverage, he just can't recover. He doesn't recover fast enough to get out on shooters, and that's a fair complaint. Definitely will not argue that's a fair complaint. The one thing I will say though is this: when the Knicks made the trade for Bridges and they extended OG and made the trade for OG, I don't care who is your center. Your job, the main reason you're here, in my opinion, for this coach is to play defense.
Right.
And they're just not, for whatever reason, and I brought this up too. I think the minutes that they've been playing are taking a toll on them, and they're not able to play that type of defense all the time. I think that's been an issue that's impacted their ability to defend at a high level. And that's why we have only seen flashes of it. But in my opinion, their job every night has to be we need to lock out the wings for whoever we're playing against. Don't leave them. Stick to your man. Those two guys should not have switching responsibilities, in my opinion. Get over the screens and play your man and play defense and lock them down. That's what you're here for. And yes, if you look at both of them, you see why. They both have very long arms. They move their feet very well. You see why that's been their calling card. But I don't know, like I said, if it's the tiredness. I don't know if it's trying to justify the contracts. We've brought up that as well, or justify the trade with Bridges. Like they feel like they have to score more. But even that, like I expected Bridges to take more of a role as kind of the third option, and we don't even see that enough. So I don't know what's going on with those two. Again, we've talked about coaching. There's a lot of different angles you could look at it from. Whatever the case is, they're not getting it done, in my opinion, on the perimeter. So, I don't know how you fix that. That's an effort thing. I don't know how you fix that.
I think some of it's the inflexibility of the coach. I think they are gassed. I think it's a number of things, but I'll put it down to inflexibility. Inflexibility with the rotations. We have the lowest bench production in the entire league. Our starters are playing the most minutes, and the wings are playing the most minutes out of them all. And one of them happens to be injury prone. Should we say that?
Fair.
So you're dealing with another player in Hart that you're playing a lot that has had tendonitis since, I think, in his second year in the league, he was going to Germany to get PRP shots in his knees and like debriding his patella tendon. I've been reading about. So again, it's the inflexibility. I think they're playing defense differently because they know there's nothing behind them too. I think there's something to that. I think it affects how you play defense on the perimeter. You don't take as many risks defensively. I think that there's something to that. I think also, as far as scoring, I think every player, except the completely deranged like Dennis Rodman, want to score more. I think that's just part of being a basketball player. So I don't think that's necessarily a problem, but we're not seeing the results defensively. But I don't think you can have a good defense around two good defensive wings. You don't have a good defensive point guard. You don't have a good defensive center.
It's fair.
You can't just build it around the wings. But I agree with you, Eric. It's not been what I've been expecting. Me and Ty talked about the Dobermans. We were imagining these Dobermans on the perimeter just picking people's pocket and wreaking hell. And we haven't seen it. So you're absolutely right. It's something that you can expect. I think it's difficult to expect a role of somebody and expect that they're going to live up to that because, what we expect as fans is nothing to do with what's going on in that building. But I think in all honesty that at least I'm hopeful that by switching up the lineups a little bit, by having more of a defensive center, by moving Towns off a little bit, and moving Hart possibly to the bench and relying a little bit on the bench a little bit more, you could fix some of these things, but I just don't have faith in the coach to make the adjustments that are necessary. The only thing I think he's going to do is he's going to play Mitch, and he's going to move Towns over to the 4. Not all the time, but maybe 20 minutes a game, something like that. So I don't know, man. It's we haven't seen a lot of what we hoped we were going to see, Eric. And I mean, a lot of things. And you can't just win with offense. We're seeing our team matches up with Boston and OKC and Cleveland offensively just fine.
Sure.
They're just better defensive teams than we are.
Yeah.
They could get stops. But what you're also seeing is 2 of those teams go deep. The players are the starters are averaging like 31, 32 minutes a game. So I agree. I feel like we have to make a change. And I don't even know what kind of coach I want, to be honest with you. I just want somebody that is a little more flexible, that could pivot when he needs to pivot. I think that's one of the things I would really want in a coach. But I don't know what would have to happen, considering all the relationships and the ties that are involved in MSG right now with Thibodeau. What would have to happen for them to cut bait with him? What do you think would have to happen, realistically, for them to cut bait with Thibodeau and just scrap that entire contract?
I honestly think if they don't get out of the second round, there's no excuse for that. I honestly believe that. If the Knicks get beat in the second round, he should be fired. And I think he will be fired.
You think he will be fired?
I do. I think because you can't explain that away anymore. Like, as one caveat, everyone has to be healthy. If everyone is healthy and they lose in the second round, then I don't think he survives that, because it'll be the same thing again. Last year you could use the excuse of injuries, whatever. This year, if everyone's healthy, that excuse doesn't exist. So I think that would do it. I mean, obviously a first round exit, I don't think. I mean, he might be fired the next day. Dolan might fire him at that point. He might go over and be like, yeah, I'm done with this. We need to get someone else in here. But I think this year has to be the conference finals. That's what I think. Right. And right now, I would not pick them to be there at all. So I think that's or obviously
they would have to beat Cleveland or Boston in a 7-game series to get there.
Yeah.
Probably Boston. Probably Cleveland, actually.
And the way Cleveland has looked, and they're younger, they're more athletic. They have like I'll say it till the cows come home, they have a better coach, in my opinion. Yeah, they have every possible advantage. And the big one for me is Donovan Mitchell really seems to have bought into whatever Atkinson is preaching.
And he fixed the whole Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland issue early.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Like, yeah, he's bought in now, so that that issue that they might have had of whose team is it or who gets the ball crunch time, that's not there anymore. Their roles seem clearly defined, and they're playing fantastic basketball. They made really big. They've made really good moves. They are a very, 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 very good basketball team.
Well, and nothing for nothing. He played to their strengths instead of doing everything that he's always done, and he adjusted to the needs of the situation.
Yeah, and I remember how out of place Evan Mobley looked at times last year, and he looks like a different player too. Like he's really done a great job getting them, like I said, buying into whatever it is he's preaching. Mm-hmm. They have bought in, and it's proven. And as you said, like he doesn't kill them. He doesn't play them 80 bazillion minutes a game, and
they bought in quickly too.
Yeah, they did. So that's the team. I honestly think they are the best team in the East. I think they're better than Boston. They just don't. I don't think they have the pedigree, so I don't know, how if they will be able to overtake them. But I think they're the better team. I mean,
They're
adding
going to
DeAndre Hunt, adding
be
DeAndre Hunter
DeAndre
at the
Hunter
break
is
too
big.
was just fantastic. Like such a great move. Yeah,
They're going to be
I
fresh
mean,
come playoff time.
yep. You have a scorer off the bench like Levert. Like they have a very, very well balanced team. And
Well, Levert moved off in that trade.
oh yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
But
right.
they have like Struess, I think his name
Yep,
is.
Max Struess. Yep,
Struess on the outside. They've got some people there.
yep. Yeah, so I mean, we'll see. But that's but the Knicks to me aren't in their class at all. Those two teams, they're not even close. There's a huge gap. I thought the Knicks would be one of those teams this year, but at least not right now. I don't see it. So, all right. So I have three-peating the process, and it's not what you think. No one's three-peating winning a championship or anything. This goes specifically to the fact that under this coach, the Knicks constantly give up a huge amount of threes. This year, the difference is teams are hitting them. Last year, teams were not hitting them. They were getting a lot of shots up. They were not hitting them. But this year, teams are converting that. So we're talking this ties back into the complete whole defense discussion, defense on the wings, whatever. Since I don't think it's a personnel problem.
I do.
I think they have the horses that can defend the three. So we've talked about the coach's scheme in the past, but literally that's the difference, in my opinion. If you want to talk about the main difference between the Knicks and all those other teams is their 3-point defense. And I mean, the Knicks have never been able to defend a three, even
Never, ever,
right?
ever. I
Like,
was thinking that the entire time you were talking.
yeah, like it's been a constant issue here, but I keep going through the constant theme, like who have been the coaches? Riley, Van Gundy. Then we had some bad coaches for a while, or bad defensive coaches like D'Antoni, but then it comes back around. We bring Thibodeau in, and like, whose tree is he from? Riley, Van Gundy, like you see you see the evolution of him and where he's come and how he hasn't changed, but the game has changed. So I've said this in the past, and I personally don't think you can win in the NBA nowadays if you don't defend the 3-point shot well. It's just the way the game's played. So I know you said he's inflexible. Do you think with, say, Robinson coming back, the 3-point defense will improve?
Yes. I'll explain why. Probably our best version of our 3-point defense under this coach was when we had Hartenstein, we had Robinson, and you had Grimes, and you also had Hart as perimeter defenders, right? That's even though they were shorter defenders. I think that this drop coverage, I mean, they've always been a fan of it, but it's more so, I think, with Townsend right now. You have the perimeter defenders right now. If you have the perimeter defenders and you don't feel like you have to, like, I think having Mitch is like Linus from Peanuts having his blanket. Like, I think, honestly, maybe he will relax a little bit with the drop defense, knowing he's got a rim protector back there because you know how important rim protection is for him. Maybe that will help things. But again, this is all theoretical. A lot of what Mitch brings will help us, and it solves problems that we have currently right now. But again, it's Mitch. I mean, is he going to be healthy? How much is he going to be able to give us? How is his conditioning? All of those things. Is he going to get hurt? I think it can absolutely help our 3-point defense. I think it's going to help our perimeter defenders knowing that they have somebody else back there. I think they're going to get up on people more, knowing that it's not the end of the earth if somebody puts the ball on the deck and gets past them, that it won't be the end of the world. But again, theoretical, my friend. All of this is theoretical. So I'm hopeful, but I'm not delusional to pretend that there isn't, risk involved with this or the potential for this not to work at all. So I have my fingers crossed. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. I'm kind of there with you. I'm kind of in wait and see mode.
Yeah,
I'm
I get
hoping
that, though.
I'm hoping obviously that his return will at least, like you said, give the guys confidence in their head to say, yeah, we have a shot blocker back there now. We could take more chances, do a little more things on the perimeter. Mitch has long arms, so him closing out should be a little better than Towns in the middle closing out.
He has lost weight, which will help his mobility
Yes.
if the
So I
ankle
think
is solid.
right. But it's a scary proposition relying on him because he's
It
never been
is.
able to stay healthy, right?
It is.
So it's a scary proposition. I'm wondering also, when he returns, what happens with Precious? Like, how do they how do they deal with his minutes? What they do there? Yep, I think he's starting. Has started on honestly to play a little bit better. I feel like it took him a while to come off of his hamstring, and then he might have been. Yeah, everyone knows if you ever had a soft tissue injury, you're a little bit scared you might re-aggravate it. So you don't exactly play as hard, right? And you're worried about taking certain steps. So I think the mental part of it with a hamstring injury like that, takes a bit of time. But yeah, it's strange that we're talking about, and like Ty brings it up all the time. Like Mitch Robinson's a role player, and the Knicks seem to be really hanging their hat on him coming back to fix things.
However, throw this out there for a second. Considering our wing depth in the starting lineup and everything like that, if you were to move Towns to the 4, run him out of the 3-man rotation as far as your 4 and 5 with Precious, Mitch, and Towns. You move Hart to the bench, right? You move Mikhail back to the 2, OG back to the 3 where they belong, and you have some combination of, let's say, Miles McBride and Cam Payne coming off, and you actually have Hart playing as a wing. So everybody's at a more natural position, and you have more depth, and you're 9 deep. And the people that are coming off the bench are not rookies. These are established players. These are people you can count on. Doesn't that sound like it would solve a lot of problems?
Yeah, it does. It sounds like it would be like in I guess in a perfect
in theory,
world.
it sounds really good, right?
Yeah. I agree with that. So
and we also become very long all of a sudden, which is how we beat Cleveland the first time. And also, if Mitch resembles anything like the offensive rebounder that he was before, that makes us a much more offensively efficient team than we are already.
Yeah, I mean that's a big part of it that I think we need to see is him, with his offensive rebounding. That was a huge part of the team's success last year.
Him and Hartenstein too.
And Hartenstein, yes.
Those second chance points were key for us.
Yes. That was a big part of their offense.
Yeah.
was second chance points.
Yes.
So
it was.
Yeah, so I mean, no, I agree with you. That rotation, I guess, probably would be the most ideal for them to be the most successful going forward. It's just crazy. I keep thinking about this part. I'm like, I can't believe I'm back here talking about this again because I thought I was past all these discussions about these things, but no.
You have foundational philosophical differences with a coach that's been here for several years. It's going to be like Groundhog Day, man. It's going to keep coming back.
I know.
Coming back.
It's true. And I try really hard. I try really hard. And like I said, I'm complimentary of him when he does good things.
He's done good things, but it's
he has.
We've hit the apex,
right,
of what he can contribute. We probably hit it last year, honestly.
Yeah,
but, it would really, really, really be hard to not offer him a contract. Considering the crater. I'm talking like the meteorite that killed the dinosaurs. Like that crater was what our franchise was pretty much. He brought us out of that.
They were a laughing stock. I mean, we can't. I can't They were a laughing stock for years and years and years. I mean, they had the one good year in 2013, right, with Melo, and that was it. So I mean, outside of that one little flare, they've been bad for most of the 2000s. They've been a bad team. Like, there's no way to sugarcoat that. And he is a huge reason why that they're not anymore.
Yes.
So I'm never gonna. I would never say otherwise.
And Randall too, but we had to move on from Randall, even though that hurt a little bit. We got to move over from Tom too. They serve their purpose, but we're going someplace else now, and that's not the people to get us there.
All right, so since you said you don't know who you'd want to coach, you don't have any idea.
I've heard some of the names that you guys have floated out there. I liked what Bob brought up. I liked Sam Cassell in theory. You're talking about Jay Wright has been brought up too. The relationships, obviously, they're very good. And like Mary Poppins said, a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down. In case people aren't happy about Tibbs leaving, Jay Wright is a good successor to that. I don't know that. I know this is going to sound crazy, and it's going to be one of those things, Eric. There's like several things that you're going to hold on to me. Like, you're going to say something about like Willie Cauley-Stein at my funeral.
I am totally.
And like planets and stuff like that. So this might be another one. So I don't think it's about the coach. I don't know that it's as important who we get in here, because there's not anybody available that's just obvious. They just have to be able to adjust and pivot. I just want a different philosophy than Tibbs. I just want somebody that could look at the situation, like, nothing for nothing. I am not as accomplished as Tom Thibodeau. I never will be. But I would never be able to do my job if I didn't self-assess from time to time and go, this is not working. I need to approach this differently. And we do somewhat similar work, so you know what I'm talking about. Okay, this is not working. We both try to get the most out of people.
Yep.
Right? And this is not working. I need to look at this. I need to come at it in a different way. I got to find a way to maximize what these people have to give and put it forward. And that's not Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau's, you are going to fit the mold that I have because it's been time tested and it works, and just that's what he is. And he's partially right, but again, he's never won a title.
No.
He's won a lot of games.
He has. He has won a lot of games, but you're right. He's never won a title, and he doesn't have the credibility at that level to come back and say. Now, I mean, Jay Wright obviously has the credibility on a college level. He was a super successful collegiate coach. On the NBA is different. I've never heard him say he has interest in coaching in the NBA, but I think because of what you said, the relationships obviously that he has with Brunson and Hart and Bridges, it's the first call I would make.
Yeah.
That is the first call I would make and say, hey, do you want to come and coach these guys again and see if you can get them an NBA title? I think it might be alluring to him only because he doesn't have that. And that might be something as a coach he wants on his resume. But I wouldn't put it at high odds or good odds that he would take the job. Cassell, again, unproven head coach. I'm not saying he'd be bad. I don't know, but
he's got moxie, like that.
Yeah, he's definitely his toughness. He has everything that this area appreciates in a coach or a player. So I think that would definitely speak to the fans. Maybe the only thing that bothers me is he was a Rocket and he beat us. And
yeah,
I don't, I don't know if I want that guy coaching my team now.
If he won a title, it would all be forgiven, though.
Oh, well, exactly. But I'd be gritting my teeth until we won that title. Like, it would be a tough thing for me to, and it'd be rough. But no, you're right. Like, everything, he's a tough guy. He was a clutch player, ice in his veins, all the things that you'd want in a coach, I think. And he's been through the ranks. He's been through the assistant ranks. He's learned under some good coaches. I think I'd be okay with the hire. I wouldn't love it, but I'd be okay with it. I know people, because St. John's is playing so well, people have thrown out Rick Pitino's name coming back to coach the Knicks. I don't see that happening at all.
What about Johnny Bryant?
You know, that's another name that pops up a lot, and I don't know what he's done to even consider being considered as a head coach. That doesn't mean he's not worthy. I just really can't critique him because I have no idea.
I don't have any idea of who I think should be in there, honestly. I've heard the name mentioned, so I wanted to throw it out there to see what you thought.
Yeah, I honestly don't have any read on him.
He has relationships. I know that has been why his name has come up, particularly with Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, and Donovan Mitchell's not going anywhere, so we can forget about that being the thing.
Player development was something that they talked about with him.
Yeah, but who,
anybody who's worked with him has spoken glowingly about him, not just
that's true. That is true. Yes, that is very true. I can't think of any other coach I've always been a fan of Shaka Smart in the collegiate level as well.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked about him in the past when the Knicks have had openings, so I think he'd be a good coach to come in here.
I would have liked Udoka.
I
would have liked Udoka, the guy that's in Houston right now.
Well, yeah, obviously he's a no nonsense. He seems like a very no nonsense type guy.
Yeah.
I think he would have worked as well, and he was a Knick at one point, so he would know. He does understand what it means to play here and to be here. So it would have been a good move. I just don't think, and I know the guys were talking about this before in the chat, I don't think with how everything turned out for him in Boston that the Knicks would hire him. So I don't know.
Yeah, once bitten with the whole Isaiah thing, maybe.
Yeah. All right, so an interesting piece of news dropped. I think it was over the weekend. I was busy this week I was on a work trip and stuff, so I was following things, but I wasn't really paying much attention.
No, me too. I've been playing catch up.
I heard this name. I heard Victor Oladipo's name get dropped as a possible signing for the Knicks. I have no idea what he has left. I honestly couldn't tell you. But the Knicks always seem to do this and bring these reclamation project guys back. Yeah. We saw it with McGrady, and McGrady was a much better player at his peak, obviously, than Oladipo was. We've seen this in the past with guys, and with the structure of the team having so many guards, I don't know if this is one way I'd want to go. They don't need another guard. I mean,
they need a 6'7" wing.
Exactly.
Play defense and hit a three.
I'm glad you brought that up because it's actually up from MSG, but it's down a league in Westchester.
Mm-hmm.
We have two guys who fit that description.
Yeah, we did.
So
one thing about Oladipo that I just want to bring up, a very, very solid player, very good player. He has been an all-star.
Twice.
He was a little bit short for a guard. I think he was about 6'4"-ish. But he has had some of the most horrendous injuries I've ever seen on a basketball player.
Yes.
He ruptured his patellar tendon, which is that thick. He also ruptured one of his quadricep muscles, right above it, on a separate injury. Whatever's happening with that guy's knees and quads and everything like that, something didn't develop right in the womb or something, because he's just had the most horrible leg injuries. A patellar tendon injury is the worst injury an athlete can get, period.
Yeah, it is. Yep. I mean, yeah, there's a ton, and anything attached to it, any ailment attached with it too, is the worst.
And it wasn't a tear, it was ruptured.
Yeah, I know. So they're saying that
they can count on that guy to come in and contribute.
No. And they're saying if they were to do it, it wouldn't be until the postseason, right around, I guess, the last point you could sign someone before the playoff rosters are due. Which I don't know.
Spontaneously combust between now and then.
Well, yeah, and if Tom gets his hand on a veteran guard, forget it. That leg is that tendon and everything is gonna that leg just might fall off at that point. Because man, I don't see the fit there. But I mean, he says he's not retiring. He says he wants to keep playing, and the Knicks seem to be the odds-on favorite to sign him. So I don't know. I don't know where he'd play. Like they have plenty of guards already, unless they're going to do a 5-guard lineup. Maybe that's the way they want to go and run teams off the court. I don't know. So we'll see how that plays out. But I just thought it was a fun bit of news to drop there and talk about. So I brought up the Westchester Knicks because I saw a couple of I've seen a few highlights of the young guys playing down there. And one of the guys I was thinking about was McCullough. Yep. Now, McCullough had an injury, which is why we haven't really seen him much, but apparently he's back and he's playing for them. And he is wing. He is a defensive player. So it's something that the Knicks are lacking right now. I know we say with Tibbs, he's a young guy. He probably wouldn't even sniff the rotation. But would you bring him up? And second, do you think he would get time?
No.
No to both?
No to both. I kind of like TJ Warren coming up, to be honest with you.
Yes, and I think because he's a veteran, and if he comes up, he definitely probably would play.
And he can put the ball in the hole, man.
Yes, he could score.
I'd be fine with that. Bench production in the league, that's attractive.
I agree. And he kind of reminds me of, God, what was his name? I'm forgetting his name. Had the dreads. Sure. Chris Copeland. He could be our Chris Copeland. This team's version of Chris Copeland, who was a good bench scorer for the Knicks. He had a couple good seasons coming off the bench. Then he went to Indiana and completely flopped, and we never heard from him again.
But we're happy he got paid.
Yes. We are happy we got paid. We're happy these guys get their money. All right, so really quick, the Knicks are playing the 76ers actually right now. The game probably tipped off. I just wanted to kind of touch on what's going on over there with the whole Joel Embiid thing.
That's definitely newsworthy.
Right? Like, what the hell, man? That story just keeps getting weirder and weirder. Now he's exploring options for his knee, and
he should. They're not going anywhere. They're probably going to win the lottery this year.
Yeah, that's true.
They're probably going to win the lottery. Wait, he should be looking at options for his knee. The man is not well. He's not well.
But I mean,
screw him anyway. I'm glad he's not well. I know. I'll say it. I don't care.
I agree with you, but I see we've talked about this in the past, but he is when he's healthy, he is such a fantastic player. Yeah. He's arguably the best player in the league when he's healthy. Yeah. But what I think part of it, whatever they do, look for options for your knee, but dude, get a nutritionist, get in the gym, get someone to get your body into shape. If you're serious about playing the game still, that should also be part of whatever options you're exploring, because we know this better than most. As we get older, that stuff gets harder to take off. The weight gets harder to take off. Everything, you heal slower. Everything starts to go the other direction. So, and we're not professional athletes. So we don't have the tolls on our body that he has. So, I mean, again, I have no love lost for the Sixers. I have no love lost for him. What he did to Robinson last year should have been flagrant, kicked out of the game.
The only thing I like in Philadelphia is Craig. That's the only thing I like in the city of Philadelphia.
You don't like cheesesteaks? I love cheesesteaks.
Yeah, you can get them here.
Not like that.
Look, I'll tell you this much, though, and I said this a couple of shows ago with Ty. Joel Embiid is the reason that Dallas traded Luka.
I think that is a great point. I think that's a fantastic point.
Look at what I mean, I don't even think his extension is kicked in yet. Embiid's extension.
I think you're right. I don't think it has.
Yeah, like 65 mil a year. They
Yeah,
are ruined.
he's
They
essentially
are
got
ruined.
the contract that Towns has. So it's the same type of contract. It was that Supermax deal. I think it's more per
It's more.
year
It's
than
like 60
Towns.
something. It's 60 something a year. I think Towns is the low 50s.
Yeah, because he signed it later, so
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He signed it. He signed it last off season. Last
yeah,
off season. But
yeah. So that
yeah.
that whole situation is weird. And Paul George has been a terrible signing for them, and he's totally looks like for
He's getting
me.
crap from the fans because he took a vacation, I think, somewhere to like Mexico or something like that with his wife,
Yup.
chilling on the beach.
And they've only put him, Embiid, George, and Maxi have only played a total of 15 games together this year. So I mean, like I said, both of us have said we have no love lost for that team. We're not sad that they're going through all this.
No.
But I always side on with certain players. I with their greatness, I want to see that. I don't want to see an injury take away their career. I'd rather just have them fizzle out normally. Even Embiid, as much as I can't stand them,
I can't
I
stand
don't.
Daryl Morey either.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. So, but the Knicks do play. Actually, they're winning right now, 7-4. Very early in the first quarter. But yeah, the Knicks play the Sixers. Hopefully, let's get this win. Get back on the right track, because as I started the show saying, and I even messaged this in the chat the other day, it's hard for me to talk about them right now because I'm so frustrated with what's going on. And like I said,
losing by 38 to the Cavs is going to do that to you.
Yeah, dude. And then losing by whatever to the Celtics again.
They lost by 13, but it was worse than that. They lost worse than that. They lost officially by 13, but the game was not that
They're
close.
not like I said, you're not competitive. So why should we care about what they do against Philadelphia or these other teams if in the back of our mind we're sitting here saying doesn't matter, when they get to the playoffs, we have no shot.
Again, man, I still hold on to hope that. I mean, it's hard to sit here and put that much hope on a player like Mitchell Robinson, but I have a feeling, honestly, that if things go well, he will solve a lot of problems that we have right now. And we do have problems.
I agree with that. If he's healthy and can play at the level we know he can play at, I agree with you. He's going to help a lot of the problems that they have.
If he could play 20 to 28 minutes a game, perfect.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. All right. Well, we're going to go early tonight, guys, so you guys can get back out there and watching the Knick game. Like I said, let's hope they win. It's 11-4 now, so it looks like they're starting out well anyway. I believe the game is on ESPN, so it is a nationally televised game. So yay, we get that crew again to talk about the game and talk bad about the Knicks.
But
which
also Optimum, all of that got worked out with Optimum.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, yes. Josh Hart said that's why he really took the day off when he missed the other game. was because he was negotiating the Optimum deal. He's a character. I love that guy. I do love him. Yeah. He's frustrating at times, but I love his attitude and his personality. He's great. So, all right, Joe, anything else you want to say to the people?
No, it's good to be back, man. It's good to be back and talking Knicks.
Yes, I agree. So hopefully Ty's back with us next week and we can reconvene as the three again. The three amigos are back and we can discuss the Knicks. Hopefully between now and then things are on the up and up and they start to play better and win some more games. And the return of Mitch Robinson. I thought it might have been tonight, but now some people are saying Friday. So
I think I heard Friday too earlier.
Right? Yeah. So I think we'll have that to discuss next week. Mitch's return, and maybe he will confirm everything Joe thinks, and we'll be back to our winning ways. But until next week, for Joe, I'm Eric. You are watching All Knicked Up. See you next time.